I started working on the farm when I was 11 years old. I worked 3 days and my grandfather fired me. He said I wasn't worth 50 cents an hour. Came back, my dad made me go back to work. I couldn't take a vacation. He started the business in 1920 and we just started growing from there. At one point in our operation, we had 5 family members. We had 650 acres. We shipped apples all over the country. Most of our apples went in Detroit. We had apples 11 months out of the year. So it kept everybody busy from pruning to picking to grading. I took over the farm. My uncle decided that he'd had enough and he said, it's your operation now. My wife, Linda, has been a tremendous asset to our organization and she's kept me on the level side. Now I've known Jim since he was probably 6, 7, 8 years old. We used to sell most of a big part of our crop down to Eastern Market in Detroit. And he and his dad would come down to Eastern Market.
We would both go to the market at the bright time of around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and being we're in the same industry, kind of developed into a relationship. Well, whenever there was really some kind of issues with pesticides, pests, fungicides, Bill was kind of a leader in that area, which is the most helpful thing of all in this industry. If you can't grow them, you can't sell them.
Bob Tritton has been the extension agent on Southeast Michigan for years, and we've gotten to be good friends over the years. He and I exchange ideas. We go out in the orchard and look at different things and compare notes of what we're looking at.
I got to know Bill and some of his brothers and his dad and his uncle really well over the years. Bill Erwin in particular had 2 attributes that I think were really vital for the fruit industry. One was that he was a leader and he would take on responsibilities, organizations, and serve on boards, and always was willing to step forward and try to move the industry forward and keep it moving along. The second attribute was Bill's willingness to help Michigan State University do our work in terms of research and extension. And so if I had a meeting that I wanted to put on, I could go to Bill and say, hey, would you host this meeting for us? Or if I had a call from a researcher at Michigan State University like Gus Howitt or Jim Johnson or Larry Gooch, Juliana Wilson, or David Epstein, they'd say, well, I want to do some research on pheromone disruption, or I want to try something at a grower's farm. Bill was always willing to step forward and do that for us.
Will Cartwright, I've just known him ever since he started working for Spicers. If I would have known him before Spicers got ahead of him, I would have had him. He's a very diligent worker. He's developed some cider drinks or hard cider drinks for Spicers, so he's got his eye on it, so he knows what's going on with that.
Bill was somewhat of a mentor to me, along with a few other people that helped me guide me with decisions making on the farm and running the business. I think the biggest impact from my perspective that Mr. Erwin had on the industry, his ability to always continue to learn and apply those practices. And there's been times I sought his advice, like this is a new pest I haven't dealt with, or like mating disruption and different chemistries I wasn't sure how to use, but how I wanted to go away from organophosphates. He was big into helping me with that. Bill, just with his education and continuing knowledge and seeing that, I always really respected that.
Bill is one of the better growers probably in the state. They were initiators of the dwarf fruit trees, carried that on very much so, and as well as the pick your own operation. I looked up to that as probably the best pick your own operation in the state of Michigan.
I think the one thing that Bill did a wonderful job was serving president of the Michigan State Horticultural Society. And then he also helped form the Cider Makers Guild, worked on a number of other boards, also helped organize the Genesaria Pest Management Association, for example, which is a little organization that hires a scout in the summer to do some scouting at a number of farms.
Funny quick story, at the spring troop meeting this year held up by Derek Potowski, our new fruit educator for Southeast Michigan, I walked into the meeting and at the time Bill had just retired and there was Bill at the meeting. And I went, well, why is Bill here? Then I thought, why isn't Bill here? You know, because he appreciated those opportunities to talk with his fellow growers, and I think that's where his love of just the industry and the people in it really stems from.